everybody, welcome back to Drawing with Paolo. My name is Paolo, and I'll be teaching you guys how to draw Wally and Eve today. A special request once again. So let's start with Eve, because Eve is easier to draw. And so we'll start with a ball at the top here, a sphere. And underneath we'll have like a cone-ish shape, sort of like an ice cream cone if you like. And this is the top rounded part of Eve, and her rounded bottom part. So then what we'll do is we'll fix the head a little bit more, because it's not a ball, of course. The ball is just a position stuff in space. And the bottom part sort of looks more like a bucket, if you prefer. All right, let's add the little space here, which represents where her eyes will be later on. Sort of like a mask. Another little oval. All of these are really basic shapes, ovals and spheres and cylinders. Then we'll add her wings. So this is her left wing here, which is another oval, a really stretched out oval. And her right wing here, which is a bit thicker at the top than at the bottom. Okay, so you have to make the bottom part a little bit thinner. And you want to make each one of these items sort of curve to the same length, right? All right, then there's a little space here where the wing sets in when she's in sleep mode. The wings will take into that spot. And all these lines now we can get rid of. So all this stuff we can erase. So let's get rid of that. Done deal. All right, so let's fix up this shape a little bit more. Eve's bucket head. Wally. Yeah, you know, everybody can do that Wally voice. So let's finish off a few of these lines here. Make them a bit more concrete. All right, so I sort of like that basic shape. So now we're going to work on the tougher part of the drawing, which is Wally. Wally's got lots of details. So we're going to start with a basic element to his body, which is a cube. So let's draw this cube. Cubes have 6 sides, and in our drawing we can only see 3, but that will really build up that idea of a cube. So these are vertical lines, and this line here has to be parallel. These lines here have to be parallel with the top. See, these are exactly the same. And each of the vertical lines are parallel as well. See, this stuff here is all parallel, which means they mirror each other. Now, we'll work on his head, and his head sort of look like a set of binoculars, right? So this is the back, is a little bit thinner. It goes to the front here, and then there's a little bit of a curve. And this is all we see for the moment, but then what we're going to do is add some binocular shapes to that. So let's work on his neck here, which should be like a reverse, very angular C, letter C. See that? And this line here, get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. So let's work on his eyes. So we need to draw one circle inside here, like an oval, which has angular top to it, an angular shape to the top. We'll draw his second eye right over here. And then there's a thickness on this side of the eye, which at the front here is a little bit thicker, and you want these lines to be parallel here. And then we curve down like this and make the thickness here. And the same thing on this side, a little bit thicker. And then we can color this part in, so we push that back a little bit in the drawing. And then we'll draw circles here within the eyes, which will allow us to create those lenses that he uses for eyes. So this is basically a camera, right? But I'm going to make his eyes a little bit more cartoonish. So we're going to color this stuff in and leave a little bit of a reflection in there. There we go. Let's add a little bit of thickness there. And these parts here will be reflective camera lenses, but we'll leave a little bit of a whiteness at the top there. So we can see a reflection in his eye. It gives a bit more life to our Wally character. He's a little bit more cartoonish character here. All right, we'll color this inner part here, just like that, and do the contour lines a little bit better now to really solidify what we want to keep and what we won't be erasing. Okay. And by the way, if you like my videos, go ahead and hit the green thumb, at the bottom of the videos. I really appreciate that. That'll show people that you like what you saw. It'll probably entice people to come and watch some of these things. And I do these drawings totally for free. That's really to show you guys how to draw. I really want to pass my passion of drawing to you guys. So I hope it's helping out. Those of you out there that are learning to draw, this is a great way to do it from home and in the comfort of your own home, and watching somebody do it and doing it at the same time. What I tend to recommend a lot is watch the video once so you get an idea of what I'm doing, and then follow along a second time. And don't forget to press the pause button. You can hit pause anytime to catch up to what I'm doing. Okay, so The eyes are done now, and we're going to add a few details here. So a little thickness line here for the front of the eyes. And then he has a little bit of a black line that comes down on the side here. And there's a little gap. And then this curves to follow the curvature of his head. And we'll color that in all in black as well. Leave another little gap here. All right. So I'd like to say hi to my fans in the UK and in Australia and in the US. Good day, everybody. And it's nice to have you on board. There's, of course, a whole bunch of other English countries watching. And so I'm really happy to have all you guys tagging along. If you want to follow my tweets, you can find me on Twitter, and you can also find me on Facebook. On Facebook, I am Drawing with Paolo, and on Twitter, I'm Paolo Morrone. So you can follow my tweets, and the advantage is you get to see the next week's drawing ahead of time through those channels. You can also see like how many countries are following me now, and all the views that I get, and the comments I respond to, and so on and so forth. So, all right, let's get back to this Wally drawing here. So there are little details here to his neck that we need to draw in. I can't really explain what they are. It's just like stuff, right? So robot stuff. And then this line here has to be parallel to this line, just so that we keep the continuity of our drawing going here. Let's make this a little bit thicker here. And then we're going to color underneath here to push that neck back within the drawing, right? We want his head to be the prominent piece. And so by coloring in the neck, that makes the head sort of pop out a little bit more. We're going to do the same thing to the bottom here. All right. So now we need to work on his body a little bit more. So we're going to add a contour line here to add a thickness to the contour of that block that he has as a body. So add a line here. And we'll repeat the same thing we did at the back here. So there are little hinges, or it looks like hinges here. I don't know what those are for, but that's what it looks like. And then we'll pull this down and color that in. I leave a little bit of a sheen there. You can see I left a little white reflection within those metal parts. And then we're going to make this a little bit darker here. And it sort of curves at the back there. And we'll color that in real quick. And then we'll add a few details to the top. So some welds, because these were made with individual parts and sections. So we'll add some little welding lines here. Make a little hole for where his neck can pop back in. Then we're going to add one arm. So we're going to add two arms, one on either side. This is the back end of his arm here, which comes all the way up. We'll finish it off square like this, and then we'll add a thickness just like that. See, we're adding a little rectangle that's at the end, which is sort of foreshortening. We'll do the same thing on either side here, okay? So next arm should come over here. It's sort of blocked by the body. And there we go. We have two rectangles that we have to build his arms on, and we need to erase, of course, that line there that I just showed you. Now we'll add a cylinder here, which will be the basic shape to his hand. So there's the cylinder shape, and from this cylinder we'll add little rectangles that'll be coming up, and those rectangles will be his fingers. So here's the first rectangle that's bent here in the middle, because it can grasp things with those things, and then we'll wrap this around the cylinder. And then his finger here, it goes like that. And then we'll create another one. So wrap that around, make the rectangle, bend it, and come back and go down, okay? And this line here in the middle of the wrist and that one at the top, we get rid of those. Okay, by the way, I'm not really erasing with my hand, okay? I've got a lot of people saying, hey, how do you do that? My pencil lines don't erase when I swipe my hand on top. Well, no, I'm editing this stuff through video, so I don't really erase with my hand. It's just to save time within my YouTube videos. And it's sort of boring to watch me erase anyway. So I'm just adding a few details here. So we're going to add a little separator line here. And then we're going to scuff up the hands a little bit. And see these little cylinder lines? We don't need those anymore. We'll get rid of that. And now we can add a little bit of a thickness to those fingers. So see this thickness line here? We'll just color that in and do the same thing at the bottom. So that cylinder that we drew at the beginning sort of disappears. But it was a great way to begin drawing our hand, a great foundation to our hand using cylinders. You can draw anything using basic shapes. All right, I'm going to color this part in too. Just push that wrist back a little bit. Now on the side of his arms, he has this warning emblem. You know, the one that is a diagonal lines, yellow and black. So we're going to draw those in just by pulling lines across like this. Remember, you want to keep those lines even, and color in the black, just like that. And now we'll work on the backhand here. So we'll start with those rectangles. Instead of doing the cylinder, because we won't really see it, it'll be sort of hidden by the fingers. Add the little hinges here at the ends, just like that. And then these lines here, get rid of those. Boom. They're gone. Alrighty. So the back arm here, we're going to just color all that in later on. Let's add those little folds here that we have on the first hand. There we go. Nice. And we'll scuff that up, dirty up his hands a little bit, so that Mo can clean up Wally later on. Alright, so on the side here, there's a little hole. I suppose, I sort of forget if that's where his arms go. I should rewatch the movie, actually. And I'm just going to contour that and color the inside later on. But this wraps up to the front and latches onto this little rectangular piece here. And there's another one on the other side. This is where he plays his cassettes or his tapes or whatever. There's a little play pause button here at the front. Color that in a little darker so that his hand can pop out of there. Let's do this side too. A little bit of thickness here. Color that in. Same thing over here. Add a few lines here. Alright, and now we'll add shading here on the left side. There's a little bit of a bumpiness part to the back with circular things, and then there's a diagonal line right about here. I think that's where his arm goes, when he stows his arms away. And there's a little bit of a thickness back here, so we'll just color that in. And color in his arm here. Let's do the same for the top. We'll add a light shading here. Very light. And on this side a little bit darker. And now we have to draw his treads. Now this is the toughest part of his drawing, I think anyway. So we need to draw this sort of pyramid shape here, which will represent his tank treads. And so this is the pyramid shape that we want. We're going to recreate that on the other side, on the right side here. So we need diagonal lines. So this curves up down here and it goes right up, back that way. And then there's a thickness. So this is the side line that curves up over here. And then we need to draw a parallel line. So just like this, get rid of that. We'll color in this part here so that I can know exactly where to put my treads. We'll finish the front too so that I know where I need to finish up my right tread there. Color that in. As I said earlier, we'll make his hand pop out a little bit more. Now let's add his name. We'll add Wally. Wally. So you can write your name if you want. I could have written DWP for drawing with Paolo, but I'm going to write Wally as it usually is down here. He's a Wally robot. Builds walls with garbage. This movie has such great value in it. Life values, and now let's add a little line here. This doesn't really make sense to my treads. They were a bit too thick. So all this stuff, get rid of that. This line here too. Alright, and we'll color in that back arm there. Give a bit more contrast. And we'll give a bit more shape to this little wire that's going down to the bottom of Wally's head. Fill that in too. Alright. Color in his eye sockets here. get a bit more shape using a gradient. So we're going from dark to light. And here's a little bit of a leg that's attached to the treads. And here we need to do the thickness of the tread. So let's pull a line here. This has to be parallel to the one to the far right. And we'll color that in as well. Alright, so let's work on this stuff here. So we'll curve this up a little bit more. So remember, the pyramid at the beginning was only a foundation line. So from that we keep building stuff upon it, right? Layers on layers of stuff. Now I'm drawing circles to where these circles move the treads, and all these lines inside there, you want to get rid of those. Alright, let's add some tread lines here. So all this stuff is parallel. And then let's finish off this line a little bit better here. Then what we want to do is add the little hinges back here that you want to see the tread thickness going across down here. Okay. Then we'll add another circle within these guys to give it a bit more detail. So a thickness and a few more curves. Maybe we can add a little bit of a few bolts in here. Just like that. And then some weld lines to go through here. Can't really see with my hand right now, but oh, and this is the paper technique. So see, if I smudge my finger, look at what I leave back there. See, I leave some smudge because I got some on my fingers. So using a piece of paper to protect my drawing will allow me not to smudge my page. And you've seen this paper technique before if you've been watching my drawings. It allows me to protect my drawing, because if you look at Eve's head, you can see there's a little bit of smudging there happening. And so this white piece of paper will protect my drawing from my palm. Alright, so here's the side of those treads here, and now we'll add the hinges to the treads. This is how they're linked together. These little rectangles. I'm going to speed this up, because it ends up being pretty boring. You know how to draw rectangles once you've seen me do it a few times. And then we'll add a little bit of shading between each one of the segments. I need a bit more lead here. Alright, so we'll add shading here between the segments, which allows us to give a bit more definition to our drawing. And then we'll cross hatch. We'll just shade this thing a little bit. We're leaving a few gaps so it stays sort of bright. Let's move this page out of the way, this little piece of paper out of the way. Now we have to repeat this here. Let's repeat the left side now on the right side. I'm going to speed this up because they're pretty much all the same. Keep these lines in the same angles as the ones you did on the left. Add that shading again, and then we're going to color that in. Remember, you can pause this video, alright? Pause it, take your time, and follow along. I'll be able to help you out if you pause. Now all this stuff here is the smudging I did with my hand earlier, so I need to get rid of that stuff. Erase that, and now retrace the lines that I lost, because my hand erased everything. Okay, so let's retrace Eve's head. Alright. We'll make this part a little bit bigger. Draw oval eyes. And then we'll erase this stuff in here. Now we need to color in this whole part in black. So I'm going to speed that up, because that's also boring to watch. There we go. All the way around the eyes. Careful not to smudge that in there. If you do, you can always use your eraser and erase that part out. And then we're going to add some shading. So Eve is sort of like an egg, right? So you want to shade Eve like you would with an egg. The light's coming this way, so it's darker on the left side and becomes brighter and brighter to the right side. And you want to use a gradient. A gradient means that you're starting from dark and going to light. If you've overdrawn, well, you use your eraser here and erase circles within Eve's head here, and that will give you more of an idea that it's a rounded shape. Okay, we did that with Batman, we did that with a whole bunch of characters, and we also have this eraser, which allows me to erase really fine lines. So like on the side of this head here, I can re-erase a little bit of that pencil that we put in there, and that gives us the illusion that there's light coming from the left side as well. Alright, so let's add a few digital details here to the side of her eyes. See a digitization of her eyes here, because they're not really real, they're just presented pixels there. And then we'll treat her neck hole here in the same fashion. So let's do the outline first. trace the outline of Eve's neck over here. So, and we need to color inside that. So it'll be really dark on the left side and the right side because the light is sort of being blocked by her head. So it's shading this left side. And then because the light's coming from the right side here is darkened too. So there's a little bit of light in the middle. Sort of strange that way, but that's what it looks like. Just like this. I'm speeding this up because this is another boring part to watch, but what you really want to get is that the idea of what I'm doing here, more than really just watching me do it. Let's make this a little bit darker. This side too. And remember, this is layers upon layers of pencil. Let's get rid of all this stuff. And that's the trick to this shading, is you want to add a light layer, add another coat, and this will actually make your drawing simpler than just trying to do it in one shot. See, so I'm putting one foundation coat down, and then I'm applying another layer on top for the wing here. And then once that's done, I'm going to start darkening the bottom part and the back part here. But see, you can't do that in one fell swoop. You've got to take your time. And then with the eraser again, we'll add a little bit of a shine here on her wing. Awesome. So let's do this part, which is the little inlet or the hole where her wing would settle back in when she's in sleep mode. And we'll color her body here too. Want to have a nice gradient going from left to right. And why don't you take an egg out of the fridge, ask your mom and pop, or if you live at home on your own, and just go grab an egg and put it on your tabletop and try drawing the egg. It's not the same texture as Eve, but it is the same design and the same shadowing to an egg. So if you design, or rather if you draw an egg, it'll give you a great example as to how to color in Eve here. All right, let's color in the bottom part here. We are nearly done, guys. This is like a 23-minute video on drawing two characters today. You guys are real troopers for following me along. You're doing a great job. Let's erase a little bit of I want a reflection in here, a little white reflection there. Get rid of that a bit more. Okay, and then we'll work on her right wing here. So this sort of looks like the front of her body. We'll shadow the right side here a little bit. Add a bit more detail in there. And then we'll add a bottom shadow here. And that's pretty much it. This is Wally and Eve. Two great Pixar characters. Awesome, awesome request. Thank you very much for asking for it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's just add a little bit of ground here. Wood texture bottom. So we'll just add some lines down over here. So it looks like our characters are really, floating above something. And that's that, guys. Thanks for watching Drawing with Paolo. I really appreciate you guys checking me out every week. And the next drawing will come back next Friday or Saturday. Have a great day. Bye-bye.